Welcome back. Several major new developments in the president's firing of then FBI Director James Comey, as well as alleged Russian links to the Trump campaign. The New York Times this weekend reporting that when the president met with the Russian foreign minister, he called Comey, quote, a nut job, and said he fired him for the Russia investigation. We are told the former FBI director will testify next week to Congress about the controversy. At the same time, former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn will reportedly plead the fifth at any hearing on his links to Russia, and he will refuse to hand over any related documents. So, where is this investigation going? Let me bring in the one and only Fox News senior judicial analyst, Judge Andrew Napolitano. Welcome back, Judge.
Oh, good to be with you.
So let's talk about some of this stuff, because I think the legal angles here are most interesting. First, let's talk about General Flynn, because he has said that he will plead the fifth not only in testimony, but also in terms of some of the documents that the Senate might want to see from him.
Okay, so the Fifth Amendment, as most people know, prevents you from having to give testimony against yourself.
Yeah.
And under the law, voluntarily surrendering a document is called a testimonial act. It is the functional equivalent of testimony. So if he surrendered the documents, he would lose the right to claim the fifth for verbal testimony, because you can't pick and choose which questions you're going to answer.
Although Lois Lerner kind of did. I mean, that always bothered me, because she made a long, grandiose statement, but then...
Yeah, she basically said, I'm pleading the fifth, but I didn't do it.
Yeah.
And nobody went after her. That's the fault of the weak Congress for not going after her. If they had challenged it, she would have lost, they would have won, she would have been compelled to give answers.
Yeah.
But think about it. If a witness could pick and choose which questions to answer and which questions as to which to plead the fifth, well, then the witness could tailor the answers and just answer questions that make the witness look good.
Sure.
So if he had surrendered the documents, he would lose his right to claim the fifth when he knows they're going to subpoena him and ask him questions.
Because he hasn't been charged with anything
Right.
at this point. So anything that he says before Congress, obviously you've got a special counsel who's investigating the same issue.
You got it 100%, Kennedy. His lawyers know you don't deny something until you've been accused of it. And he hasn't formally been accused of anything. For all we know, there are hundreds of defenses to what we think he'll be accused of. Yeah. But he and his lawyers, quite rightly, are remaining silent until he's accused of something. Now, that's with respect to Congress. When the special counsel wants his documents, he doesn't ask for them. He shows up with a team of SWAT people at 5 in the morning with a search warrant, breaking down a door and seizing them. Yeah. That's another story for another time. If the documents are seized against your will, you do not lose the right to claim the fifth. If you surrender the documents voluntarily, you lose the right to claim the fifth when they ask you about the documents.
And that's obviously one of the big differences between Congress, where you can still perjure yourself when you're sitting in front of a Senate committee, but it's very different from special counsel, right. Which can go ahead and, as you said,
well, special counsel
if they have
special counsel can get search warrants and indictments. Congress can't do either.
And if Robert Mueller has a warrant from a judge, he can go to Michael Flynn's house and pretty much take whatever he wants. So this is my question, and a lot of people have brought this up in regards to James Comey's memo, reportedly leaked to the New York Times, about the president trying to compel the former FBI director to drop the Flynn investigation. So if, in fact, someone can get a hold of that memo, how broad of a scope does the special counsel have to take memos from, I don't know, maybe some of his notes on Hillary Clinton or the immunity given to some of her former aides?
I think the special counsel can seek all of that, and he'll probably get it, because Jim Comey, when he was fired, he was in Los Angeles, and he was not permitted back into the FBI's office. Now, of course, today memos are not pieces of paper like this. They're probably secured electronically, and he probably didn't have access to them. What we know from the New York Times piece is that an FBI agent favorable to Jim Comey read a portion of one memo, and just one, on the telephone. We don't know how many other memos there are. We don't know the context, the contents, or the tone of the memos. We'll need to know all of it. What about his memos of his conversations with President Obama? I mean, all this stuff is now potentially fertile material for special counsel, and he, of course, perhaps by the same means he could get General Flynn's documents, can get whatever he wants.
Well, it will be fascinating to watch this unfold. We know that former FBI Director Comey will, in fact, testify before.
That is also very troublesome. The special prosecutor, the special counsel, doesn't want his witnesses going around testifying under oath, because then they are locked in to that version of the testimony, and they're subject to being impeached. Didn't you say this last week? Were you lying then or were you lying now? A classic impeachment when they say something different in a different context. I was quite surprised that Jim Comey is doing this. Does he have the right to do it? Yes. Can he discuss things that are classified? No. But he can certainly discuss his communications with the president.
Yeah, and he's had a close relationship with special counsel in the past, and you know, we'll see how that comes into play. That could be one of the conflicts of interest. We don't know yet.
If the president told the Russians, Jim Comey's a nut job and I fired him to get him off my back on the Russian investigation, that is very, very bad for Donald Trump.
All right.
Very bad.
Well, we will see.
Yes, we will.
Hopefully those memos will come out and we'll all get eyeballs on them. Judge, thank you very much.
You're welcome.